All right, at this point you should hopefully have your generic eyes done and your generic nose, and now it's time for the generic mouth practice, and that's what we're going to get started on with this video today. So as you're getting ready to start this, go ahead and turn it sideways like this, or you can turn it sideways like this, which is what I'm going to do because I don't want to smear this with my hand, so I'm turning it this way so that I can draw in this section without getting it all over the nose. Now you need to make sure that you have all three of your pencils, your blending stump, and an eraser handy, and then also a reference picture. So we have some closed mouths, and then in another video I'll show you how to do teeth and perhaps braces if you're interested in drawing those. But for right now we're just going to choose a closed mouth, and we're going to draw this one right here for this video. So you go ahead and get set up so that your reference, whatever it is you're looking at, is very close to where you're drawing. You can see how close mine is. I'm not going to have to work real hard to look at this reference. It's right here, and then I'm going to draw right here. So I'm going to get started, as always, with my lightest pencil, the 2H, pushing very, very lightly. Like we talked about in our beginning practice when we were doing the proportions, when you're drawing a mouth, you really only draw a line in the middle where the two lips meet. And that's something that's pretty important when you're drawing lips, is to make sure that you are really only drawing it there. So what we're going to do is to start out by drawing the center part of where the two lips meet. And if we look at this, you can see that these are all wiggly curvilinear lines, and the one that we're drawing here goes down and up and down and down and up like that because of the way that his lips were over his teeth. So we're going to start with the middle because I find it easier to make it big enough, and then also symmetrical if I start with the middle. So I've got the down and up this way, and then now I'm going to go down just very lightly and then draw a little curve up like this, and then I'm going to go over here and do the same thing on the other side, making it reasonably symmetrical. Now it's pretty common for lips to not be exactly symmetrical, so don't worry about it if yours are a little longer, shorter, upper or downer on one of the sides. That's a really normal thing. Now I do like to put a little suggestion edge for where the value is going to go. I know this feels like we're drawing another line, but really I'm just drawing like a goal for the top value. So the top value is going to stop here, and then the same kind of thing for the bottom value. I'm checking this one has a larger lower lip than upper lip, so I'm going to make sure that I have my suggestion of the lower lip down here. Okay, so when you get ready to get started drawing your lips, that's it. And this is all you draw in there for a long time until you're ready to start the value. And when you are ready to start the value, we're going to start the value in the same way that we were doing value on the rest of the face. So the modeled value technique, where we're creating overlapping ovals that hide the stroke direction and also that hide the paper. You know, I'm trying to make sure that there are no gaps in the value. I don't want there to be gaps in the value. I want it to be even. And so I'm just going over it. I'm using relatively light pressure over here. It's okay if it extends out a little bit because we'll tidy things up with our eraser, and also you have skin all over your face. So there's skin going up to the lips, and it will need value too. So if you have a little value that's spilled over from the lips, that's not a big deal. You're going to have skin there too. So let's get in here. And we're just going to go up, doing our best to make sure that we're not leaving gaps. You can't really see the stroke direction. You can see the stroke direction a little bit, but not a lot. Okay? And so we've just got it in like that. Next, and if this is our, actual self-portrait, you're going to go in here and really draw in the Cupid's bow and really get in here, and we're going to get value on the side over here, which is what's going to make it look like your face is having all the value on the side of the face and all the value over here. For our practice, we're just going to do a little bit of this kind of value just so that you remember to do it on your final. But remember, we'll all have little smile lines and bits that will make up your face shape, right? And then we're going to come down here and do the same kind of thing down here. Now with the lower lip, I like to add the value in like this so that it's rounded, because your lower lip tends to be rounder than the upper lip. And so I found that adding the value with my strokes going in this direction, even though I'm going to need to even them up, and I'm going to be using the blender on them and changing them, but the initial having the stroke direction go this way makes it so that it appears to be more three-dimensional. And that's our goal here, is to create the illusion of something that is three-dimensional when it is in fact a flat piece of paper. And then underneath here, there's a pretty strong shadow underneath this lower lip. Okay, and be careful not to lose your details. You know, you don't want to make sure you want to make sure you're not going over it so much that you can't see where the lips end. Okay, so now we're going to go over with our blender, and when you're using your blender on the upper lip, try to make sure you're going kind of up like this, so it's like a little light flick up. This helps it to look flat. Your upper lip tends to look more like a little flat shelf jutting out. Again, if you need to get in and get details, you might change direction, but try to flick out like this for the upper lip. Okay, and then we'll go into it again using the side of the blender so that the skin looks smooth and not liney. Same thing going on over here. Now down here, we're going to go in a rounded way, gently over the lower lip. And then blend it on the outside with the side of your blender. Okay, so now we have it all blended. Things are still a little bit scratchy. I've got some blending and some adding to do, but let's go ahead and go into this with our 2B pencil. And similar to the way that we did it on the nostrils, we're going to be drawing a very sharp edge where this value is going to end. And so I'm tracing over the line that I made before, but I'm also looking back at my reference picture to make sure that I was accurate in the first place. And then over here, I can see with this person's mouth, there was a darkness in here, a darker shadow. And it was darker going down this way. There's a dark shadow. It's not just a skinny line, so you need to look at the line and see what it looks like, and then make your value match what it looks like in here. So we've got our nice nice dark line, and then we're going to go underneath. There's a very dark shadow underneath these lips. And then they're a little bit darker up here. And really I'm just looking at the lips for darkness and lightness. So it's starting to look a little three-dimensional. Now we need to have a little bit of roundness over here. And then we're going up here, and I can see this little ridge on their lips. And you do want to leave the lips a little bit liney kind of in the end, because especially the lower lip does have those kind of folds on it. Okay, so now we have that. Now we're going to go into it with our blender. And again, with this, I don't want to blend it entirely in, because that will remove our suggestion of texture. You know, the lips are a little bit different of a skin than the face is, and so you want to make sure that they look a little different. We're not trying to make them all look the same. They aren't all the same. But then underneath here is darker. And just like that. And then we're going to go over here. And I'm just barely touching, like super-duper light. I don't want to get rid of my details. Don't want to blend out my face. Alright, so it's starting to look pretty dimensional. A lot of times lips will have some bright highlights on them because they're shiny. In order to get those, you'll take your eraser and look for a pointy bit of the eraser, which not all erasers have pointy bits, but we'll do our best. And I'm going to erase out the little highlight here. And so I got a little highlight going on this, and that helps with the dimensionality. And I'm going to go back into it with my 2H pencil. And go in and adjust some of my details. Just like that. All right, and that's pretty much it. You may go into it with your 6B, which actually, now that I look at it, I definitely need to go into it with my 6B. because we want to make sure that you're using that darkness on all of each of the facial features needs to have some of this really dark so that they stand out. It helps them to look really dimensional and accurate, and it gives the lights something dark to be compared to, which makes them look brighter. And then after I do that, then I'm gonna blend it just a little, because sometimes when I draw my little lines in there, my values, they're not perfect, but I can go into them with the blender and make them look a little more accurate. So if I zoom out, you can see it with the lips that I was drawing. So it's not exactly perfect, but it's looking pretty dimensional, and it's good for this practice. Thanks, y'all.